Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm excited to be coming to you with another edition of our podcast talking about Peter Block and Edgar Schein, and really kind of digging into some of the material around communication and interventions this week. So, without further ado, I want to go ahead and jump into some slides. So as we get started today, we're really going to talk about really two areas: feedback, the feedback phase of OD, and then developing interventions in OD. And we're going to just kind of breeze through that because there's the article, the Cummings and Worley article on Blackboard that you're going to want to take a look at. Before we get started, I do want to just remind us about the power of silence and the spirit of inquiry, what it really means to use silence as a tool for communication. This week's reading is all about how we communicate with other people. And I've found that when I approach communication with the tool of silence, right, used at the appropriate time, used with kind of a conscious awareness, that it's something that becomes a really powerful tool in my box. And then also remaining curious and having a spirit of inquiry about what we're doing. And this really does lead over into what Schein begins to talk about, what Block alludes to in terms of the Johari window. And I want to talk a little bit about this for a minute. So this is kind of how Schein illustrates the idea of how we see ourselves, right? That we can be made up of these four kind of quadrants: the open self, the blind self, the hidden self, and the known self. And really, quadrants 1 and 3, they're parts of ourselves that we expose to our others, right? And parts 1 and 2 are things that we know, but perhaps other people don't really know. So quadrant 1, or the open self, really are those areas in which we're willing to share with others, even strangers. These are the things that people just know about us, right? We're willing to share these kinds of things. We're very open about them. There's nothing really to be hidden here. Quadrant 2 represents the concealed or the hidden self. This is a very interesting thing. It's those parts that we consciously and deliberately try to conceal from others. If a group is asked to reveal anonymously some of those things that they conceal from others, you might be interested to see and hear what other people might say, right? The hidden self is information that we know, but others don't really know. These are the things that might be in a closet someplace that are packed away. Not for viewing by other people, right? And then the blind self is information that we don't know, but maybe others don't know. And Schein gives the example in the text that a boss says, "No, I'm not angry." Well, clearly, you're angry. Your tone tells us that you're angry. Everything about what you're doing tells us that you're angry. But the blind self is that information that we don't know, but that others know about us. These are things that we're just blind to them. It's almost as if we cannot see them, and we have to be brought into that knowledge. And the fourth area is the unknown self. This is information about ourselves and others may not know at all. So neither others nor ourselves know that. This could be untapped potential, untapped knowledge, untapped areas of talent that we know that we don't have. The Johari window here provides an excellent example of how we begin to see ourselves. And I would encourage you to take a look at the Schein text as a further explanation of what the Johari window can do in terms of a tool for levels of communication. And then a second thing along with this is I might ask you to think about this, to reflect on this for a minute. So what are the things in which you're really open about? Right? What are the things in which people know about you that you don't conceal from others? What are the things that you hide that you would prefer others not know about you? Right? What are the things about you that perhaps you don't know, and you may have to ask others about that? What are some things that I do that I may not be aware of? Right? Maybe my wife would say I snore at night, or I eat loudly at the table, or my temper breaks pretty easily. What are the things about you that others know that you don't know? And again, how would you find out that information? And the second is the unknown self. This one is obviously incredibly difficult to fill out because they're neither known to you or another person. But I would want you to think not only in terms of how the Johari window can be helpful for you, but also for your clients. What are the things for your clients that are known? What are the things that they don't know? What are the things that you see but they don't see that you're helping them bring knowledge into. The next piece of this really is about levels of communication, and there are really kind of four levels of communication here that both Shine and Block talk about in our text. The first is open communication, and this is where most communication occurs between two open selves, right? So there are things that you know about me, things that I know about you, and we're open about these things, and this is just very, very open communication. We openly show our mask that we want other people to see. This is really drawn from the area of kind of sociological theory and dramaturgy theory, where all the world is a stage and everybody is actors playing in it. And all of us have a mask on. But in open communication, we're openly showing the mask that we want other people to see. Unwitting communication are those signals and meanings that we pick up from the blind self. we uh, we know that there is some leaking, right, and that these signals have meanings, right? It's unwitting, so someone leaks out some information. The third level is confiding. This is where someone deliberately reveals something that we ordinarily conceal. You might think of this as confiding or giving a state of vulnerability. The fourth is emotional contagion. This is where one person influences the feelings of another without being consciously aware of the origin of those feelings. Sometimes that feeling is a mirror, so joy equals joy, or sometimes that feeling may differ. Joy equals tension, right? And we've seen this play out even in our own relationships, where um, we have played off the emotions of other people. I've often said that emotions are an open loop system, not a closed loop system, and so we can actually catch emotions from other people. So, this is a really interesting model to use to understand how communication operates within not only our personal relationships but the consulting relationships. Think about where might be examples where you've had open communication with your client, or unwitting communication where they've leaked some information to you that typically they may not want other people to know, or confiding, right? Or the idea of emotional contagion, where people start to get energized by other people's feelings. It's an interesting model of communication. If we want to connect this for a moment with the Cummings and Worley article, the idea of communication and open space here really do parallel and overlap one another. In Cummings and Worley, the open space was used as a particular intervention, a diagnostic tool and an intervention for the particular case. Now, note that they're stepping in the river here and they're putting forth an intervention. We know that everything that we do is actually an intervention. But I would encourage you to take a look at the open space and, more importantly, why it worked or why it didn't work, right? Why might it work even in your own organization? The idea of open space isn't just applicable to all kinds of different situations, but really should be strategically used, really surgically used, just like any organization development intervention should be. As we move forward, and kind of finally to talk about today, some things that you might want to consider when implementing different types of interventions like open space. The first is, what's the readiness for change? So, are people willing and ready? Are they open for this? Right? Are they able to even talk about it? What's the capability to change? Are they even able to make the shift? What's the cultural context, and what are the capabilities of the change agent? All four of these questions should be answered around the individual, the group, the organization, and the trans organization, understanding not only the organization, but the climate and the culture of the organization and the industry. All of these things should be considered within the unique context. Now, don't be overwhelmed by this, because you're going to be using these tools within a particular context. And you're going to know that context because you will have gathered this information. And so you'll know some information about readiness to change. You'll know about capability to change. You will have utilized the Johari window as a mode and method of communication to diagnose some of this. You'll be able to have open levels of conversation across. You'll know what the hidden self might be, or the blind self. You're going to know things about your client that they don't know. And so you're going to be able to ascertain and really kind of diagnose and lay out some techniques for these four areas: readiness, capability, the context, and capabilities of the change agent. So, as you can see, the Johari window is a really powerful tool. I hope you find it applicable across a bunch of different contexts, but most importantly within the consulting relationships that you're having with with your clients, and maybe even kind of some introspective stuff that you're doing as you're reading through both of these books. I don't know about you, but every time I read through these texts for our class, I learn something a little bit differently about myself. I learn something about how I interact with other people, and so I would encourage you to use the Johari window, maybe even this week, as a tool to kind of look at yourself and understand what's going on, and maybe try to uncover some of those blind spot areas by talking with other people. Anyway, I hope these are tools for you that you continue to put in your toolbox, and that you find them applicable to all the situations that you are encountering with the consulting relationships. Be well, take care, until next time.